Hello and welcome to the No Holds Barred Witchcraft podcast. So, Chris, there's this thing I hear all about all of the time from everyone. It's a question they ask me, okay? No, it's not that question. It's a different question. It's, do you meditate? Liam, do you meditate? Do you meditate? What do you meditate with? How do you meditate? Guess what? I don't really. Although that is technically like, because I kind of do meditate, I just don't sit there cross-legged on the floor and go, om. I lie on my back and think of England.
That's a very active meditation, Liam.
To answer your first question. And yes, active meditation is to answer the second question.
Okay. No, I guess I don't really meditate. I do practice yoga, which is not the same.
Hey, whoa. I hate it when they conflate the two. I hate it when people assume because you do yoga that you do all this Tibetan singing bowl, bollocks, it's stretching, right? Yoga for me is stretching. You do the cat-cow, yeah, okay. We need to think of names for the different stretches, so why not use animal names? Because it makes sense. I mean, sure, that kind of looks like what a cat does when it scratches your carpet, doesn't it? Don't really get the cow one mind, but some of them sound like, what the animal kind of does. But yeah, this yoga like and meditation don't always go hand in hand.
They don't go necessarily hand in hand. I do them in a very meditative way. Like, I do the whole, all of it pretty much with our eyes closed, even in the class, because I don't want to really think about what everybody else is doing. It doesn't interest me. And the last thing you want to see is that big bird's arse in your face, the 2 rows in front of you, that seems to be swallowing the entire room. But other than that...
Well, Karen.
Karen.
They're always called Karen. That's the thing, you do it as part of a class, though, don't you?
Yeah.
Do proper yoga class.
I do a yoga class. I got a very good teacher.
I do one-on-one.
See,
I've never been one for groups.
See, I do one-on-one occasionally, but my regular class is a group. So, I started a different class yesterday. I switched from the beginner's session to a slightly more advanced session. That's a lot. It's a lot faster.
Sounds painful.
So it was fine, apart from I've got my hamstrings muscles are really short, so I struggle with some of the stretches. And actually yesterday, in the kind of year and a half or so that I've been doing yoga now, it's the first time I've ever stopped in a session and gone, no, I can't do that. Like my body just went, no. So that was interesting. So next week will be great. Can't wait. But yeah, yoga's different. Like I do, because obviously we still do the kind of warm down meditation at the end. So that's probably the closest I get to a meditation. But that's a guided kind of muscle relaxation thing rather than traditional meditation, I guess. So yeah.
See, all I get is a fist bump and see you next time next week, dude. That's what I
get. So no, and one of my colleagues at work at the cult, he's a yoga instructor, so I might go and try his sessions.
Of course they would. I mean, you've got to have at least one yoga instructor working at a cult.
He's the blacksmith.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the blacksmith by trade, but he's also a yoga instructor. He's really cool. But yeah, so back on the topic. Sorry, we're gossiping now rather than actually doing the podcast properly.
Yeah, meditation. That's what this is supposed to be about.
Most people use meditation as that kind of gateway to dream work and astral work, don't they? So where they want
Practice.
to get better control.
That's like throwing the tennis ball against the wall when they're supposed to be playing tennis.
Yeah. I suppose.
Do you think that's how they invented squash?
More than likely. I don't know the history of squash.
Well, I think there was this loser that likes tennis, and they were wanting to play with him, so he just used to hit the tennis ball against the wall, and then there was another loser that started copying him.
Okay.
And then they thought, wait a minute, there's two of us. Why don't we bounce the ball against the wall and fire it to each other? And, well, we could just go play a game of actual tennis. But no, let's not do that. Let's continually invent our own game. Because if we invent our own game, we'll be masters at it. We definitely get gold then.
Okay. So do you want to actually explain the relevance to meditation there?
No, I think they should go away and meditate on that.
How did I know you were going to say that?
Because you're psychic. Right. And you know me quite well.
I'm fine with it being as part of a practice, as long as you're pushing beyond that. Obviously, visualization can be quite important to some people's practice, especially when they're starting out. Kind of being able to visualize and manifest from a mind's eye perspective helps a lot of people working. I just don't feel like a lot of things, people don't progress beyond it. So, they do these meditations, but they don't, or these visualizations, but they don't necessarily push past into making it useful. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So would you say that meditation and visualization is the same thing?
I suppose yes and no, which I know is not an answer. Yes, in the sense that they're kind of gateway drug to the one to the other. But no, in the sense of, I think they're very different actions, if that makes sense. I think meditation itself is about letting everything elsewhere disappear and actually going inward, whereas I don't find visualization necessarily is. Visualization is kind of mapping on top of reality. Does that make sense? Did any of that make sense?
I think it makes sense to me. I'm thinking in terms of the sort of techniques that we teach for helping start the psychic development process is normally visualization techniques, and I see them different as you basically get someone into a calm state, which is similar to meditation, so that the unconscious mind can start to flow through. And most of what you're seeing, pretty much all of what you're seeing, is shaped by the unconscious or the external side of things. Whereas what I tend to see with meditation is most of the time you're the one trying to follow like a story. So like when you have these guided meditations, you're listening to the person and you're following along. And I find that might be where some people go wrong, because of course if they're told a meditation, imagine that fireball going up and down, all that sort of thing, then that's what they do. They go and do that. If you're taking part in an group meditation, and someone's taking you through the process, you haven't got to think of the storyline. You're just going along.
It's passive, isn't it?
It's a lot like reading a book, I think, because you fill in your imagination the stuff that's going on, but the book gives it that structure. Whereas with visualization, a lot of the time people are told to visualize their spell work, which to me is kind of the equivalent of putting it down on paper. When you're visualizing it, it means that you've got a mental picture of how the whole thing works and how it's supposed to, the end result comes. So I'm trying to think in terms of my personal approach to meditation, and I don't sit there cross-legged on the floor. I like active meditation, but for me, it's not something that I put effort into. It's more of a accident. So if I'm too focused on something and it doesn't require my brain to think about it, then I slip into some sort of meditation or some sort of state. And if I don't decide what I'm going to start meditating on, things will come to my mind and I'll start to see stuff. And there's not like every day, because with this, what you do is you actually tune out. You can't really see. So it's like almost like how you imagine things. If I say imagine the front door of your house, you get that kind of image in your mind, but it's going to be quite light. Whereas what I tend to do is I tend to completely slip in. It happens a lot when I'm driving as well, which is quite dangerous. And then it's only when something changes in the atmosphere around me that I flip back in. So I don't know. I class that as active meditation because I'm only doing that when I'm active. But people never really define what meditation is, do they? They all say they go and meditate, but are there lots of different ways to meditate? And are all these people really doing the same thing?
I think with most people, they're going to do something they've either read somewhere else or something they've always done. So either something that they started in childhood, didn't really think of it as that, and then later realised, oh, that's what other people call meditation. Or you have the other one, which is a learnt behaviour. So where they've gone seeking, they've been told by their mate that meditation's good for them, it helps for X, Y, and Z. And therefore they should totally do it. And then obviously they see all the myriad of blogs and vlogs and YouTube clips about various different kinds of meditation that all kind of have the same feel. They're all guided meditations in some way, shape or form. Whether or not there are words in it, it has either got music in the backing or something that is designed to guide you. Whereas actually I think that's where some people struggle, is kind of setting the markers out for themselves. So rather than being this passive follow along situation, like you said, reading a book, or where their mind is just having to fill the various blanks, or pauses, or whatever it is that's creating the rhythm in the meditation. Or in lots of people, it's going through these kind of mantras and techniques that they've learnt specifically to repeat. I don't think most people actually go and meditate in the traditional sense of the word, I guess. But maybe I'm wrong. It's just the people that I tend to have met and worked with don't do what, if you were to say what's on the tin, I don't think it necessarily matches up to what people actually do.
So a lot of people, much like I did really earlier, although it was kind of a joke, use terms in language or expressions and phrases, go and meditate on that. Kind of means go away and think about it, give it some thought.
Yeah.
So why do they use the term go away and meditate on that instead of go away and fucking think about it, or I can't be bothered to explain this to you? What is it that word specifically resonates with?
I think it's a mixed. I think it's a times thing. I think if actually you wouldn't have said that to someone else 50 years ago, if that makes sense, or kind of 100 years ago. 50 years ago, you kind of hit in the 60s, 70s. So yes, you probably would. Kind of, it's one of these kind of post-New Agey kind of phrases that everyone uses, borrowed from the anglicising the East, or at least that's my take on that. It's one of those words that's just become synonymous with deep thought, isn't it? Meditation, deep thought. Actually taking a concept and spending time with it is essentially what it's supposed to do, rather than I'll go think about that, which has become more of a flippant phrase, which is a lot more sarcastic. Oh, I'll think about it, rather than it actually being, okay, I'll go and give this some thought. Would work just as well.
I use it when I take the piss out of people that are a bit new agey, and they say, "Oh, why are you doing that terrible thing? It's so nasty." And I say, "Go away and meditate on that. Maybe this is supposed to happen." And then they just like, "Oh, I need to go away and think about that because I've not had to deal with this before. My whole life, my whole paradigm's gonna shatter." So, 9 popular types of meditation practice, according to healthline.com. So this is legit, mate. There's a mindfulness meditation, spiritual meditation, focused meditation, movement meditation, probably my favourite, mantra meditation, my least favourite, transcendental meditation. A lot of people use that term, a lot of people don't really understand it. Progressive relaxation, loving kindness meditation, I've never even heard of that, and visualization meditation. So which one of those do you think we should unpack? Should we go through in order what they think and see whether we agree or disagree?
Sure, why not?
Mindfulness meditation originates from Buddhist teachings and is the most popular meditation technique in the West, because pretty much most of Western practice these days
is stolen
from the East.
They've all got a colouring book.
Yeah. In mindfulness meditation, you pay attention to your thoughts as they pass through your mind. All these people that can't make a decision, Chris, this is what they do. They think, "Oh, what does he think of me? Or should I get rid of him?"
Didn't we used to call this procrastination?
I think they used to call it procrastination. I think nowadays it's a case of you need to be mindful of your own thoughts, type new age bollocks. Right, let's skip to the next one. This one could be interesting. Spiritual meditation. Spiritual meditation is used in Eastern religions such as Hinduism and Taoism, and in Christian faith. It's similar to prayer in that you reflect on the silence around you and seek a deeper connection with your God or universe. I don't think that's anything to do with prayer. Prayer is basically like when you sit on Santa's knee and tell him what you want for Christmas, except with prayer you can do it all year round. That's what I was under the impression prayer was about.
I think truly prayer is supposed to be conversation with your deity, isn't it?
One way. It's like a baby monitor, because of course all the people that pray are all babies. And then the Jesus or whatever, they have the other, the other end of the baby monitor, the bit where it can't transmit messages back. Yeah.
Oh, where they go, they'll self-soothe in a minute. Yeah,
it's like, oh, they're moaning now, but,
they'll be over it in a minute.
I'll just tell them it's all part of my plan and it's fine. Oh, wait, I don't need to. The pastor's already done that. On to the next one. What does Karen want? Oh, Karen's not very well. Oh, well. I suppose the best thing I can do is leave her and then she'll be with me. Because that's what they all seem to want.
Sorry,
they
next
don't
on the
really go
list.
into anything to do with spiritual meditation. They just pretty much leave it at that, and then say
Leave it as prayer.
essential oils are commonly used to heighten the spiritual experience. Because if you're stupid enough to fall for a lot of religions out there, you're stupid enough to buy into an MLM essential oil company, aren't you? I mean, it's just, one cult, another cult. Those two cults can often go hand in hand, unless you're Christian, because the Christians, they don't like MLMs. They all say they're cults, don't they? New Age slippery slope to the devil.
At least it smells
Anything to
good.
add for spiritual meditation, Chris?
Well, it's one of those things, isn't it? I was trying to think when you said the list originally, I was trying to think what they meant by spiritual, because obviously all of these can have a spiritual aspect to them. But I guess what they're trying to do is separate, oh, okay, this is what they wanted to, they didn't want to say the word prayer, because they knew prayer would upset the New Agers, and therefore have called it spiritual meditation. Because I think actually I don't consider that to be a type of meditation. It is just a intent of the actual meditation, isn't it? Rather than actually being a type. Because you could do active meditation and have a conversation with your deity, like, a one-way conversation with your deity. Like those, active meditation is a type of meditation.
And possibly feed your deity.
Well, exactly.
Oh, they don't think about that, do they?
Petitioning while
It could
exercising.
be a sacrifice also. So the third one is called focused meditation. Focused meditation involves concentration using any of the five senses. For example, you can focus on something internal, like your breath, or you can bring in external influences to help focus your attention. So this whole breathing thing is often associated with a yoga and meditation and that. I'm thinking that this is more about paying attention to your body, and your body not doing a very good job naturally about doing stuff, because I've done some breathing meditation stuff. Well, I say breathing meditation, I've been doing breathing exercises, and I found that has made a difference with my breathing. And it's almost like I told my body, well, I'm going to teach you how to breathe, because you haven't done a very good job of learning how to breathe, because you breathe too shallow. So you need to breathe in a bit more. And I do find after doing the exercises, the breathing exercises, I take in deeper breaths naturally.
Yeah.
But then the body just goes back to breathing how it normally does. So you have to keep at it. So focused meditation, what's your idea of that? It does say try counting malabeads, but I'm suggesting you don't do that, because if you do, people will take the piss out of you. So movement meditation, although most people think of yoga when they hear movement meditation, this practice may include walking through the woods, gardening, blah, 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 blah. They're kind of grasping at straws to a certain extent, but I would call this active meditation. I don't know about you.
Yeah, this is active meditation.
When you tell people that say, Mr. Chris, I want to cast a spell and I'm going to do a charm bag, and you say, well, think about what it is you want and then go for a walk and collect things for your charm bag. That would be classed technically as this, because you're opening yourself up to being drawn towards things and picking them up, aren't you, with your little walk, collecting stones and plant matter and stuff.
Yeah.
So we would utilise that.
Yeah, and I also get people that aren't very good at meditation. So you get people that say, oh, I'm not very good at visualization work. I'm not very good at sitting there and trying to focus. Because so we have a fair amount of mentees and stuff that suffer with things like ADHD and stuff, where their attention is not they can't hold their attention for very long. So sitting down and doing a bog standard meditation doesn't get them very far, because something is then going to distract them, and then they won't focus on the thing for long enough. And I'll often get asked people whether or not they do some kind of active meditation, and obviously the answer is often, oh, what's that? Because I thought that was a really common thing, but clearly not necessarily.
No,
Where,
I
yeah,
think in the West, people think of meditation as, oh, well, I lead a hectic 9 till 5 lifestyle, so I need to spend time not doing anything and calming myself. So it's more calm and soothing. Whereas active
yeah,
meditation for me is I need to multitask and I need to get stuff done.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I need to have that sense of peace and that movement, and that taking care of my mental health, but I still need to stay busy. And I find that's what a lot of people miss on that.
or
Actually,
like you said, with the ADHD and that, active meditation is better because it keeps you busy. So it allows your mind to go off.
yeah,
You need to multitask because you process a
yeah.
lot of stuff constantly. So you need to keep that processing going on and on and on. So next we have mantra meditation, and they've literally said it can be a word, phrase, or sound such as the popular Om. So this is about us speaking it loudly or quietly, chanting a mantra, so saying something over and over again. When I curse people out, is that classed as a mantra meditation, Chris? Or is that just classed as a curse?
I guess you could argue that.
Because I do shout it loudly, and it does
I
say
don't
on the
particularly
description here.
I don't like mantra work, I'm not going to lie. But that's because I don't find hearing that sound come out of me work in the same way as it does. I would have more effect and be more effective at not having a mantra and listening to a favourite song, which is obviously what I normally talk about when you start playing with things like weather magic, where you're trying to make use of a rhythm. I find that far more effective, personally, than a mantra. One, because they're words that I don't necessarily understand, and therefore need to be taught how to use them. Whereas, if you're creating a mantra of your own, then yeah, I'm all behind that, where you use a phrase, but I find it too repetitive. Like that, I struggle with. If you were to ask me to use a same set of mantras for 10 minutes, I would be bored out of my skull. Whereas I find words of power, that one expressive version, or two or three of that small repetition, a far more effective approach. But that's me personally. Actually thinking about designing the word, phrase, very short, none of this, iDruid kind of bollocks. I want literally short, fast words that have meaning, direct access. Spit those words out with the right energy behind it. So, shouting it aggressively, cussing someone, all the various different ones, singing it, whatever it is that uses that energy level, which is what the mantra is supposed to be about.
Right, this transcendental meditation bollocks. What the fuck is all this about? Because it's some movement thing. Even they don't seem to know what it's about on Healthline, hence why it only gets like 2 lines. And it basically says transcendental meditation is a popular type of meditation. This practice has been the subject of numerous studies in the scientific community. So basically, if you look on the Wikipedia, transcendental meditation is basically about healing yourself and then reaching and accessing higher states of consciousness. I think this is where it all falls down, because I think this is where New Agers think they're doing a magic.
Yeah.
Right, we're out of time for the regular edition, but we'll discuss this more on Patreon.